Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, Our Moments with the Word of God, Our Moments with the love, mercy, and compassion of God, Our Moments also with the holy ones of God or the holy things that God has promised and the holy land that God gave to us, as we will see from the first reading today, how God showed to Moses the whole land. I will just come to that. And not to forget to turn our attention to ourselves, where God speaks to us, and if we pay attention, God also guides us to a certain destination, and all that brings us closer to God. And I also invite you to be co-missionaries with me by simply sharing the videos with your friends, your families, and ask them to also subscribe to the channel and thereby just become co-missionaries with me. Thank you. So first of all, let's begin with the gospel today, where Jesus ends the gospel by saying, where two or three are gathered in my name, there I am with them. And also he speaks about where two or three of you on earth gather together and agree among yourselves to pray for something, that will be granted to you by my Father. So that sounds very good, that where two or three of you agree on something and ask in prayer, of course, Jesus says, in prayer when you agree, then that thing will be granted to you from heaven. But does it always happen that God grants to us our prayers, etc.? This is a big question, because there I tried to read properly, and what I found was that God is saying, when two or three of you agree in prayer, if that is a genuine prayer, that is another thing, not prayer that we want God to hear, but already know that in prayer God speaks to us, as He is also speaking to Moses today in the first reading. It is all tied very beautifully together. I will come to that. So Moses is being led to a high mountain, as the reading says today in the first reading. Moses went to Mount Nebo, and the Lord showed him all the land. This Mount Nebo, I have been there 2 or 3 times. It is in Jordan. It's a very high, quite a high mountain. If you go from the side of Israel, from low it goes zigzag and then goes to a high mountain, where Moses was brought, and also where the snakes bit many people, and many people died. And then Moses prayed, and then God told him, make a bronze snake. All that is there on Mount Nebo. But what is interesting there is this, what I am going to read just now to you, because I could not learn this by heart. So I have written it like this. Moses went to Mount Nebo, and the Lord showed him all the land, Gilead and as far as Dan, all Naphtali, the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah as far as the western sea. You can see the Negev, the circuit of Jordan, with the lowlands of Jericho, the city of palms, and as far as Zor. No, this is not the Holy Land. I am just trying to show you and trying to imagine that God showed a huge land, and I was there at this Mount Nebo. And if you stand there, you can see very far. Here, of course, there are mountains, so you do not see that far. But there you could see far up to Jericho and the circuit of Jordan that the reading is speaking about. God showed to Moses all that. Then the interesting reading goes further. The Lord then said to Moses, this is the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that I would give to their descendants. I have let you feast your eyes upon it, but you shall not cross over. You shall not cross over. Beautiful land, very fertile land. This is the promised land that the gospel or the Bible always speaks about, the promised land. It's very, in a sense, tragic, but it's also quite interesting. It gives you an insight into God's mind. And also, when I said in the beginning in the gospel, where 2 or 3 of you ask for something in prayer, which means we are really connected to God and know what God's will is, then we shall ask that in prayer. If in prayer we find that something is not agreeable to God, then naturally we won't ask for it. That's why Jesus says, where 2 or 3 of you are gathered in my name, there I am with you. But he should be there with us in prayer. So what happens then? So there is the land of Moab. Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there but did not cross over to that promised land. Which means what? That not everything that is nice and beautiful and lovely will be granted to us. It was not granted to Moses, remember. Moses was the most favorite servant, the greatest servant that has lived on earth, as the Bible tells us. But even he was denied to enter the promised land. Was God being cruel to him? Is God sometimes cruel to us that he doesn't listen to our prayers as we think sometimes? Or is our prayer not in compliance with what God wills? And that we find out only through prayer. It's a beautiful reading if you can just reflect why God did not let Moses enter the promised land, and why sometimes God denies us things that we desire. Think about it. And if you like, you maybe please subscribe to this channel. Thank you.